Okay, I believe we are going to go ahead and start the work session. What we have is Tanner Smith, the person that's on Congressman Blaine Luetkemeyer's staff, and he is going to kind of update us on some of the things that are going on in Washington, D.C., and maybe how those things can impact us here in the county. So, go at it.
I appreciate the time.
Sure.
You can hear me.
Sure.
Pleasure to be here. Thanks again for the time. Thank you for getting this set up. I'd love to be able to update you on everything going on in D.C., but we probably don't have enough time for that. More or less, I wanted to introduce myself this evening. I am Tanner Smith. I'm the Congressman's District Office Director. Our office is located in Wentzville, just down the road from you. Of course, we've covered a sliver of St. Charles County since the Congressman was elected in November of 2008 or January of 2009 when he took office. Now we cover about 3/4 of the county. I would say population-wise, at least 3/4. And I couldn't give you the exact district lines. I'd have to get to map up because it goes in and out of neighborhoods and whatnot. So I went to Mizzou, ended up with the Congressman as he came off campaign in 2008, so I've been with him since the beginning. I used to run his Wentzville office when our district was the 9th district and got cut off to the 3rd. So we used to go to the Iowa border. Now we barely go above I-70. Changed quite dramatically. We now have 13 counties. St. Charles is the largest by far, followed pretty closely either by Franklin or the large chunk of Jefferson that we now have. So we cover right around the greater St. Louis area. I know when you're dealing with the East-West Gateway and things like that, those issues are now becoming very important to us as St. Charles County is. Of course, the Congressman's on Financial Services Committee, dealing with a lot of banking issues and financial issues, whether it be the Treasury Department or anything like that. So he stays quite busy. That's his main committee. He chairs a subcommittee there on financial services. When he was first elected, he was on the Agriculture and Small Business Committees, but he lost the Agriculture Committee when he took financial services. He was raised in the banking industry, so that's a niche thing for him, although agriculture is still very important. He has friends on that committee. He's now back on the Small Business Committee. They originally took that away from him, but Sam Graves, congressman in the newly formed 6th district to the north, requested that he rejoin the Small Business Committee. So he deals with a lot with small business issues, which is, of course, the driver of the economy. Everybody knows that. Whether it be tax issues or regulations, which I'm sure you guys hear about all the time. As far as D.C., they were on a break 2 weeks ago. I call it a break, Constituent Service Week, vacation, whatever you want to call it. Some of them go and hang out, and some of them get on the ground, and they're out and about. The Congressman was in Lincoln County a couple days, down in Franklin County, over in Jeff City, things like that, doing different meetings and updating people on the ground on exactly what's going on in D.C. Currently, right now, we're looking... the budgets were both passed by the House and Senate, which hadn't happened since 2007, maybe 2008. Now they have not come to conference. The budgets look completely opposite of each other. The House's would balance in 10 years. The Senate's actually adds per year. They would eventually go to conference, and what they'll do is it gets a little more complicated. We've got a debt ceiling debate going on right now, and that actually hits the 19th of May. It was based on a date and not a monetary figure. I don't know how that exactly works. The Treasury's already said they can move things around to keep everything operating until October or maybe even November, I believe at this point, which kind of sets up the budget debate because the debt ceiling and the budget are going to come together. And I would assume that all of that will be jammed into one big thing. And it'll be some sort of deal. I have no idea what it looks like. They have really not even begun. That's the truth. If you ask me a question about it, I can't answer it. Wish I could. But it's a mess, and every day you hear something new. Outside of that, we've got, of course, the appropriations is starting to go on, so those are going through their subcommittees, go through committees, eventually be voted through the House and Senate. Those are the major things happening within the Congress, I guess, that you're going to hear about. Of course, there's stuff that's voted on every day. They're going to repeal the health care law again this week in the House. It won't go anywhere. That'll be the 37th time of full repeal of the health care law. I was actually with a school administrator today that was talking about it, and their insurance broker was like, here's what you're going to have to do, here's where we're going with this, and she's scared to death. She was kind of almost breaking down, and I'm not going to bring up who it was or where it was, but it was one of those things was like, okay, this is getting real. In January of 2014, full implementation of the healthcare law happens, of which case most insurance is going to skyrocket. Just the facts of it. Yes, sir.
I was told today that wouldn't actually take effect next year, that it's going to get pushed down. Is that not true?
It could get pushed down depending on what the Congress can get passed through.
Okay.
Well, Mike, it depends on how the regulatory agencies can enforce it too. No one said anything for certain, but the regulatory agencies, the departments are having a whale of time trying to figure out what they're going to be doing and how they're going to regulate things.
They said the exchanges aren't going to be set up in time.
It may be pushed back.
Okay.
I can give you a full answer later. I can't right now.
That's all right. I was just curious.
It is a mess. Everybody, the folks that are for it are like, well, it's a mess right now. And they probably should have given it a longer timetable. The timetable that they have right now, it's just, for people out here, us paying the insurance, we're just paying it, and we're going to see it in our paychecks. For them trying to institute it and actually regulate it and figure out how they're going to do it, it's even more complicated. So everybody's basically just like, we don't know what's going on. And even, a lot of the congressmen, I just call him Blaine, sorry if you prefer congressman, but Blaine's colleagues, he's run into him on both sides of the aisle, and they're just like, oh my, what a nightmare. And they'll just flat out admit it at this point. Just what a nightmare. We passed a bill, and it's just become pretty tough on us all to figure out what we're doing, with it, because it was so large, so expansive, and it pretty much changed the whole healthcare system. So, other big issue, immigration is currently held up in the Senate. The Gang of Eight stuff is pretty big in the news. They thought they were coming to a deal a couple weeks ago. The gay lobby got upset because there was a deal with bringing your partner in the United States if you wanted to immigrate to the United States. So they're now fighting over that, and that's where they're at. There's no bill. They're just working on basic outline frame for a bill to be brought forth for immigration. No idea if they're even going to get that done. They're at a standstill at the moment. It could have changed today. I've been on the road all day. I apologize, but at last I heard, they're pretty much at a standstill.
That sounds familiar.
I always say that bipartisanship skyrockets when they're on break. It's a lot of gridlock going on up there. They'll pass quite a few bills, bipartisan. There'll be a lot of bipartisan bills that go through Congress and to the president's desk that he signs, but you'll never hear about them. They're usually very small issues, and the big ones that you hear about in the news, those are the headbutting ones constantly. It's frustrating. I wish I could come up here and give you guys good news about how they're getting things done and everything's, moving our way. But this is my 5th year on the job actually, and I've given one great update where we got a transportation bill passed, and it was only for 2 years, and we were wanting 5. But that's kind of the nature of the job right now, and they're pretty far separated on a lot of their ideals, sadly. Kind of take any questions from you guys. I don't want to take up your time. I know you've got a lot to do.
What's happening with the farm bill? Has it been passed? Is there a farm bill?
No.
What's the hold up on it?
Nutrition programs. About 84% of the farm bill is our nutrition programs, food stamps, free lunch or reduced price lunches, free lunches, things like that. They tried to cut the farm bill. The agriculture community has been very good. They were one of the first industries to come. They came to our office and many of the others and said, hey, here's the programs that don't work. Let's get rid of this. Let's do this. Yada, yada, yada. We'll cut 10% here. We can do this. And they were happy to. But when they started, when they were trying to trim the budget and get a farm bill passed, they're trying to trim some of the nutrition programs, as we call them. The other side wouldn't jump on that. There's only about 4 or 5 members of Congress that are actually live on working farms. So the understanding of agriculture is very, very limited in Washington, D.C., which makes it very hard to pass a farm bill. You've got to stick in all the other stuff, the food stamp programs, the nutrition programs for children, everything else to get an actual farm bill for the small 16% of an actual farm bill that is for agriculture, you've got to have all that other stuff to fluff it up so that people vote for it. Another sad reality. But it has not been passed. I mean, they can, I don't know, they'll get one. It's just they're just kind of pushing the old one forward from here on. When emergency measures, when there's disasters for insurance.
Are they planning on cutting the crop reserve programs or any of those for farmers?
They cut out most of the subsidy programs, but as far as like crop insurance and things like that,
No, the crop reserve program, the CRP.
No.
Okay.
No. That won't go anywhere. Yes, sir.
How about the National Flood Insurance Program, FEMA,
Mm-hmm.
the bill was passed last year, going to start actually charging people what it costs for the program. Right now, it's just a gigantic,
Money pit.
the money pit, yeah, isn't it? I mean, for years, it was self-supporting, but ever since Katrina, it's had to be supported. But I thought last year they basically said we're going to start making people pay.
I would have to check in that for you. I'm not positive.
All right.
But I can get the answer for you. I'll have it for you tomorrow.
Well, I mean, I've got the bill from last year on my desk. I was just
Okay.
wondering if there anything else is happening.
No, nothing else has happened. No, sir. Guys, if there's ever anything else, what I'll do is I'll leave a stack of business cards right over here, and y'all can grab them. It's got my email. It's got all of our offices, all of their information on there. Some of you may have dealt with Dan Engelman in the past. He's still down in Washington, Missouri, if you're comfortable with him. We work very closely together, and anything that goes to me or him, it's all shared throughout our office. So feel free to contact us about anything. Generally, we'll stay out of your hair, as you guys operate a lot better than we do in Washington, D.C. So it would be, yes, sir.
Yeah, just a general comment. We're other than certain members of our council who have farms of their own, we're less interested in farm bills.
Yes, sir.
Than we are transportation.
Absolutely.
In fact, that's kind of what we do all day around here.
Oh, yeah.
So what's going on in the, don't want to come into St. Charles unless you talk about what's going on with the transportation bills.
Of course, I was telling them last year is the only thing I've actually got to report that's been good in my job, and the fact that we got a transportation bill passed last year, the 2-year extension. They have not, there's nothing that has come out solidly about even a further extension or a new transportation bill or anything of that nature. Really haven't heard. We were shocked that the Tiger grant program was back this year because of a lot of the cuts, but there's nothing groundbreaking going on in transportation right now.
Yeah, do they have to agree to the Tiger grant program?
It's the department generally that sets it up if they have what they think is available.
That's a terrible way to do business.
Yeah.
You let bureaucrats make decisions about what we need in St. Charles County or the region.
Yeah.
I mean, it's bad. Everybody complains about earmarks where you got elected officials making those decisions.
At least they've been here.
But at least they got to come back. Yeah, at least they've been here.
Yeah.
And got to come back and run here.
Yes, sir.
We got a bunch of bureaucrats in Washington D.C. looking at projects and deciding whether to do the one in St. Charles or the one in Jefferson County.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like the Congress, if they want to stop something, let's stop that.
Oh, yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where, I don't know, it's just kind of the way, I guess, the system is. I can't answer your question for you, I agree with you, but it's frustrating.
Mr. Cronin.
Yes, sir.
While we're talking on frustrating, I have 80-acre farm underwater right now. I've been in a lot of Corps of Engineer meetings as in my position as a councilman. But one of the things that the Corps of Engineers made very clearly is the mandate that they got to us, at least was the mandate they got to Congress, is their only responsibility is to maintain the navigation channel in Mississippi. If you drove here on 370 or any other roads around there's a whole lot of this county that's good farm ground that's underwater right now because they're not considering flood control and recreation and all the other the natural potentials, everything else on on these river systems. So my comment, I guess, to you folks is, I think that needs to be looked at again.
Sure.
Okay, and also if we're gonna spend money to rebuild foreign countries, we might want to look at the floodgates at Winfield Lock and Dam, because 3 of them don't work. And that's one of the reasons the water stays up so long, is because they've got those locks and dams upstream from here are antiquated, and they can't even get the gates up anymore. So that's just a comment. It's a federal issue, and I'm just a council member, but I see it, and right now my property is waterfront property, and I think the Corps needs to take a look at that in another manner. But they told us pretty strictly that they act on you guys' orders. And the orders go back, I think, the 1930s, that it's just strictly for navigation, not the other issues.
Yeah, a lot of the lakes and things like that around that the Corps runs, or they'll do it 30, or 33 for navigation, recreation, and conservation, and then for the Mississippi, it's, I think, strictly navigation, and of course, it's a problem on both ends, because we're on a lot of the lakes, we worry about fish spawn, and people get flooded in that regard, and then on the river we worry about navigation, so people get flooded in that regard. I'll take the comment back. Frustrating, I understand.
Yeah.
Anyone else? I don't believe so. We thank you for your
Thank y'all so much.
information.
Absolutely. Anything you need,
Sure.
don't hesitate to holler.
All
I'll
right.
leave those over here.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Yeah, come back when you get some good news.
See y'all in a few years.
We actually got a budget then, so.
Okay, folks, we have, looks like 12 minutes before we go into session, so we can take a little break here and do what needs to be done until we open up.